So, as a daycare center owner, I believe that center owners need balance when it comes to their financial piece and how they actually run in the health in the center of their culture. And if they cannot be able to balance their self and they just have to lean on one side, then I absolutely recommend for them to bring in someone that will bring that balance. And they have to be open enough and trust the process. Like, for example, if you are a person that you came straight from school and you have a business degree and you just chose the business to open up a child care center, but you never really did it, you're stepping out there and you're trying to do it, 9 times out of 10, you are only going to read your data based on your financial statements. And that is good, and I'm not taking away from that. But I always say the inside of your center is not going to tell the same story that your numbers will tell, because that's a whole different um, ballpark. Because we're talking about how do you put numbers on teachers that are the foundation of your center? How do you put data and numbers on parents that's trusting you? How do you put data and numbers on a center that is built on trust, built on community? Numbers can't do that for you. Because on paper, numbers say that teachers are liability. But if you're constantly cutting back on staff or you're not bringing in, then you hinder yourself for number one, growing, being able to bring in more kids, and number two, you hindering yourself from being able to really thrive when your numbers tell you, hey, you paying too much in salary. So it's a catch 22. Now, if they have someone that understands the culture side of it, like someone was been in the industry for a long time, they are called to the industry, they have a love and passion for it, they can see things that the person with the business degree that's opened this up because they just feel like childcare was what they wanted to do, they can be a great asset of building your culture inside out. So if you are not balanced in the two, then you need to bring in somebody that will help balance you. And this is where the issue comes in at. You're gonna have to regulate your nervous system enough to trust the process. That if you're allowing a director to work under you that knows what he or she is doing, you gotta trust the process, especially if they experience. I'm not talking about bringing in just any and everybody, because that's not how it works. Your core person, and this is where you should spend the most time, is hiring a director that is going to see the vision, understand how to grow, understand how to build your center in and out, and you have to trust him and she to do that. So that's just my take on it. Um, it can be a catch 22, and I lived that experience myself. I was a director for a woman who invested, and she made it clear to me that she didn't know how to run a daycare, she didn't know what she doing, but she had the money to definitely throw at it. And so my job was to show her the ropes and show her what to do, but she was so reactive, like her nervous system couldn't handle it, because she had already programmed herself to be more into what they taught her in her business class. They say if you are in the red, then your daycare, your business is failing. And she was in the red with some things in her daycare, but it did not mean that the daycare was failing. We had built strong staff. The enrollment was coming in. Parents was leaving 5 stars review. She was really starting to be the talk of the daycare in the neighborhood. But because the numbers wasn't catching up to the culture that was established, she panicked. So that is really some things to think about if you are an investor deciding to open up a daycare and you have no idea what you're doing. At least bring somebody in that do, so that they can balance you out, and you guys be that balance. And the person that you bring in, they may not understand the number side of it, but if you guys can sit down and have conversations and talk about it and come to some type of agreement to where it works out, that you okay with the numbers, and yet this person is still building your center, that's a great relationship to have. So yeah, that's just my opinion about it. But honestly, I would say this over and over again: childcare business, that is a different beast. Like, it is very different, because it will never, 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 never tell a story of what your papers say. And I just gave an example of that. If your paper on your liability says that, I'm sorry, your profits and loss, and it says that you pay this much out in salary to teachers, that's considered a liability. But if you take a look in your center, and this teacher is going above and beyond, they're doing their job, they come to work every day, they showing up, they're doing the thing, they have built a community with the parents, the kids love them, well then I don't think that's a liability. I really consider that an asset. So you gotta kind of know how to maneuver and not let what your profit and loss statement say, and that's a lot of times why you have a hard time paying teachers. We could never, let me just say this, you could never pay a teacher what they're worth, because that is a priceless gift, and you can't put no price on it. But you can pay them comfortably to where you make it worth their while, to where they come to work. Again, that's up to you. If you don't have the finances, another thing I always say, line of credit, take out a business loan. You're talking about building a legacy and building a child care center in the long run that's going to last. You're talking about building something that families can feel comfortable, that want to keep their kids in until they go off to, we used to call it the big kid school. So you got to think about the long run of what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. So again, I'm never against profits and loss statements. Like I said, I run my own business. I have numbers that I look at, but at the same time, I'm always going to make a judgment call that's going to build my legacy, not build my numbers, because numbers is always, sometimes those fluctuate. It'll catch up eventually, and sometimes it don't. But you have to be balanced enough and still enough to know, hey, I want a healthy center any day over fluctuated numbers, that eventually it will catch up. So that is all that I have for you all today. Just something to think about, because we don't have to have these wars about, well, y'all got to understand my numbers, and then you got the passionate people but say, but look, I'm in this classroom, I'm in the nick of it all. It's just about bringing in balance and hearing each other out and understanding each other's point of view, and then coming up with a plan that say, well, how can we do this to where you feel that you're not too much in a crunch, and we don't take away from what we are already building, and we're in survival mode. So yeah, that is all I have to say about that. Thank you for your time.